That's what I forgot to. Hang on, I forgot.
When they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Good evening, everybody. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening live to 105.3 or 107.7 out of New Orleans, Louisiana. And we're streaming all over the internet. This is the thing at the foot of the bed. I am one of the co-hosts of this show. I will be introducing my amazing co-host in just 1 second. We already got Zach Man here. Hey, Zach, and sorry about the rough start there, guys. My computer has a mind of its own tonight. I did click the buttons, believe me. Anyways, I'm Lorilei Potvin. I am a host here, obviously, on the network, but I have my own show on Monday nights here called The Angel Rock from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm a Canadian clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, and a registered nurse. And a few little housekeeping things for you just as you're joining in. Just like Zach Man is here, I'm going to highlight his comment so you can see. If you want to be part of the show, you know if you've been here before, we love to make you part of the show. We also have the unpredictable, predictable reading sometime during this 2-hour little window that we're together. So please head over to UFO Paranormal Radio, either the Facebook page or the YouTube channel, and we will see your comments. If you are on Facebook and you haven't done so already, please head over to streamyard.com/Facebook. Be sure to give them permission. You just have to click yes so they can use your picture and name so we will know who you are. Otherwise, you just come up as basically Facebook person. And that's it. We don't know who you are. Also, lastly, two things. We are on Roku. This show isn't particularly, but we have all kinds of new hosts, new shows, and it's our main channel on Roku. There are different shows already on there. Dave and I eventually will get our act together, maybe at the beginning of May there. We haven't talked about it, but we just haven't touched on it again. We might be streaming our show there as well and have a channel. So if you want to find it, I don't have a channel code. So you're going to head over to the channel store on Roku. Once you're signed in, type in UFO space P as in paranormal, like you're for the search bar. You're going to get a bunch of things coming up. I believe with the third or fourth one down, it's going to say UFO space paranormal and United Public. I think it says radio after it. And that's our channel. So if you like what you see, please share, like, and subscribe, and share with all your friends. Because like I say, there is something for everybody on this network. Lastly, our network for the first time this year, and it's also a show we have on the network called Writers of the Future. They do Writers of the Future, an award show. It's a big thing in Los Angeles. And we are giving away a 3-day trip to Los Angeles for one lucky viewer or listener to attend the show. So you can check that all out. I believe it's on our Facebook page. I've shared it off my profile. It's all over the place. Anything you find with UPRN, you can find how to get there. And on to my wonderful co-host here who's waiting so patiently.
That's okay. I was just turning this little fan towards me. It was like 80 degrees today. Heather says, hi, beautiful. And thank you so much for calling me beautiful. No, I know you're talking to Lorilei.
Hi, Heather.
Buddy, my name is David Hanzel. I'm a spiritual medium channel, and I do automatic writing and paranormal investigations and all kinds of things. I'll tell you how to get a hold of me at the end of the show if you are interested, and so will Lorilei as well. Before we start, we are gonna talk. We're going to do a big chunk tonight about UFO experiences and just strange things, not necessarily just spaceships, but strange things in the sky that we don't know.
And we have a clip that I took with my youngest son who pops in here. So we're going to excuse me, play that during the show tonight. But Dave, you hit me up just before we started. You haven't even told me this, so I'm hearing it the first time, and I think it's a really cool story you have for us, right?
Yes, and it's for anybody out there, being a spiritual medium, and people like Lorilei and I. My connection is all the time. It doesn't really shut off. So sometimes we pick up stuff that really there's nothing we can do about it, or it makes no sense to us. We just pick it up. Well, last Friday was my birthday. Thank you. Happy birthday to me.
And
Whatever.
I didn't know until after the show, or I would have made a big deal. So this is
Oh
Dave's
no,
birthday show
I
this
don't
week,
really do
Dave.
my birthday, but I
I've
was.
announced it. It's your birthday show this week because I didn't know till after the show.
It's okay. It's okay, and I it's tough to turn 40 again.
I
Uh,
know.
Again and again and again and again. But so Friday, because birthdays are very strange, odd to me for some reason. It's just a whole nother show just because of what I went through. Because my first day to me was 2015. So it's weird that I'm getting older. But there's I was not in the best mood. And I took that weekend off from work and I had a great day Saturday. I was with my mom. And then Sunday I was driving around. I was just having a normal day. I just thought, I was talking to spirit and doing all this stuff. I thought I'm gonna go for a walk in the mountains. There's this mountain by my house called Crotter's Mountain. And I got out of my car. I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone. I said, I'm going to go for a walk. And after I started going for this walk, I started to think about this person named Billy. And Billy and I were bandmates back when I was younger. I think I was about 16 when I met Billy. We played together, me and him, for years and years. We went through many guitar players and many different bands, but we always stayed together. And he was such a very cool person in my life, because he went to high school with me, and I wasn't I was pretty much hated in high school. And
Oh,
Billy was just the most non-judgmental, wonderful person, and just a lot of fun. An amazing freaking drummer. Stuart Copeland from Police and Neil Peart were his big things. And I was the bass player and the keyboard player. We did a lot of Rush together.
ooh, love Rush.
Yes, I did Rush. I was Rush copy band, cover band forever.
Love it.
Anyway, Billy had, after I was sick and went into a coma in 2015, I came out, whatever. A year later, Billy was in a motorcycle accident, and he also went into a coma. His wasn't like mine, though. He went into the coma for a couple days, and he came back out. He had a lot of damage done to him because of that accident, but he was fine for the last few years. But I started thinking about the really cool stuff about Billy. All of a sudden, I haven't talked to Billy in years and years. I haven't really seen him. And these overwhelming, just really cool emotions and memories kept coming in. And I thought, that is so cool. I'm like, I'm going to have to get a hold of Billy. And I was wondering, why did it just pop up out of the blue? I was like talking to Spirit about stuff. I got home and I got a messenger. I was talking to a friend of mine. And then Steve, a guy who is also a friend of mine who used to play together, me and him and Billy, messaged me and said that Billy had died that morning.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Dave.
Thank you. But the thing is, what I wanted to let people know, that wasn't a prediction of death. That was literally, from what I took away from it, he knew what I did, later on in life. He knew that I could do this. And it's like he almost took advantage of that and sent me those beautiful memories together. Because I was remembering stuff that I had forgotten that we had done together. And it's just hilarious. And I was laughing. And so pay attention to those signs. If your loved ones go, sometimes it's not just them knocking on your door saying, hi, it's me, Mom, or hi, it's me, Larry, or me, or whoever in the hell just left. Sometimes it's very subtle. It's very subtle. I don't call my website They Whisper to Me for nothing. It's very subtle, and you just got to start to be aware. So if somebody ever leaves this earth and you miss them, all you really need to do is be aware of all your surroundings, and you're most likely going to get some sort of sign. Even if it's a small sign like that, it's a beautiful sign.
That's amazing. So he had passed away Sunday morning, and while you were just so I have this straight, and you were driving out into the mountains, and you were getting all of a sudden out of nowhere these, like you said, all these things you hadn't thought of. So he was already in spirit.
Yeah, it was about 2:00 p.m. that I started thinking about him. That those messages came through, and it was about 4:00, 4:30 when I got back home, and then I got the messenger message from Steve saying that Billy had
You
passed away.
know what I feel, though? I just wanted to confirm that because I feel like he knew you were going to get the message because we know things on the other side, right? He knew what you did. And it was because he sent you such cool things. Like you said, you were laughing and it was things you'd forgotten. It's kind of like, hey, Dave, I'm over on the other side. It's amazing. It's awesome. Remember the cool things that we did while I'm here. I'm healthy. I'm whole. I'm having a great time. And I just want to remind you, even if it's just the emotion and the feeling, right?
It was very beautiful. Billy was a very simple guy, one of those guys. He's a drummer. He's kind of like not connected to anything. He's just really fun.
Just to the beat.
Yeah, that was his whole life. He had the biggest addiction to girls. Which is the sweetest thing. You'd think he was a pig, but he really wasn't, because he talked about women very beautifully when he was around them. But when he was there, it was like scam on the girls.
Did he end up meeting somebody that was he able to spend his time with somebody like a partner? Or?
I don't believe that he got married or anything. He never did. I'd seen the pictures of him. I knew about his coma and tried to talk to him after that, because we were trying to get him to remember who he was, and he did after a while. But he had lung complications, and they got to him, I guess. I know my guitar player's messaging me before saying, hey, did Billy come through? Can you do it? And I'm like, just that Sunday. I said, if he does,
Wow, we got all kinds of people here I haven't seen before. I'm so glad we got Allie here, and Heather. Heather says, Dave, I know you were telling the story. You're beautiful too, David. You have that well of hair. Isn't his hair amazing? I love his hair.
This weird hair. I don't know.
Allie says hi, David, too.
Hi, Allie.
So
we were going to talk about that. I just wanted to put that out there just for.
But I want to add something to that, Dave, because I think it's important, because you and I both do a lot of teaching, and what is so important is we can sometimes we can set the parameters with spirit, with our guides, whatever, right? And ask them for signs to confirm I'm on the right track, whatever that may be. But I always say too, and I know you do this too, Dave, is when we're, working with people wanting to find out more about their gifts and strengths, is to pay attention to the signs around you. It's not just our loved ones, and you'll know what those signs are. Like, it'll seem like the perfect song starts playing on the radio at the perfect time. Maybe you've asked a question just sort of out into the ethers, or even on license plates. My thing for me, very quickly, you remember seeing me on that show about my haunting experience? Yes, I did mention about the paranormal. For those of you new to the show, yes, I have been on Paranormal Survivor, season 4, episode 9, off of that travel channel called Demonic Hauntings. But I was going to say, my sign for me, well, one of them is 1111 and 111. And I know that's quite cliche in the spiritual world, but I'm not even paying attention. And I'm telling you, all of a sudden I look at the clock. Sometimes I see it 4 times a day, in the morning and at night. And then I know, okay, spirit, gotcha, I'm on the right path. Yep. The other one that's really cool, and I was the one that determined this was going to be a sign, was I had my dear little dog, Miley, that since passed away, gone over to the Rainbow Bridge. But when she was a little pup and she was potty training, she left me a pea stain in the perfect shape of a heart. And anybody I've shown it to goes, no, there's no way that you must have, put a stencil out or something. I didn't. It was perfect. So once I started paying attention to hearts, I said, okay, spirit, let's make this our sign. Let me know you're near. Let me know I'm on the right track. Maybe it's a yes for a question. I have found hearts in the craziest of spaces, and I've started documenting them and taking pictures. I'm talking in froth on top of a frappuccino. I'm talking heart-shaped nuggets in a box of 20 perfect hearts. Vegetables in when you're out for dinner, you order something, a side dish, perfect heart. Little coffee stains on the countertop, anything, I'm telling you, and spirit always comes through, right?
Oh, that's absolutely, I know. They do all the time. Here's a little synchronicity for you. My mom's dog now, her name is Miley.
No, really?
Mom's dog's name is Miley, and she's a little Yorkie.
Well, my Miley looks okay. So I do believe I have animals that have returned to me.
Yeah.
And my cat Socks, who my son named Sockarias, I call him Socky. He's so sweet. He pops in here every now and then. And he looks identical to my cat, Jesse. I know I've told this story on the show that he basically hopped out of a pet store and wanted to come home. And my brother, who didn't live at home with me, decided he had to come home. I discovered Jesse earlier in the day, and I knew there was no way I could take him home. My dad said he hated cats. There was no way. Well, lo and behold, Jesse decided he was coming home with me. And Jesse, we used to call the party cat. I lived with my best friend before I was married, and great house. And Jesse thought he was a dog. He would come in, he was called, you'd pet it, he'd love to have belly rubs, and he'd drool. He was just like a dog. Everybody loved Jesse. And of course, he went to the Rainbow Bridge, and Socks looks identical and acts almost identical. He doesn't drool, almost identical. Same with Miley, except polar opposites. I got this dog when I was 18, and I named her Tiffany. My mom happened to be sick. We were looking for a new dog, and my dad went with me. My dad never said no to me. So we went, and there's this big litter of black puppies and this little blonde dog. And my dad goes, I knew you were going to pick her, the only blonde one. And she was pure evil. I used to call her Tiffy Demon Spawn. Like, she really was nasty. She bit my first husband every day we were married until she went to the Rainbow Bridge. Fast forward, I'm married, I have kids, and we decided to get Miley. And there was only 2 puppies in the litter because they were Chorkies. Her mom was a little peanut. Miley was the epitome of looking identical to Tiffy, except there wasn't a mean bone in her body. It was like I got yin and yang, but I got the bad, well, negative first and then the positive after.
Around. I have, because you guys, you're gonna just love this too, because she told you the funny pea story. I've got another story that you might think is unbelievable as well. It's not. Real quickly, my cat. There's a lot that goes around it, but I had a cat for his name is Charlie, and I had Charlie. He lived to be, I believe, about like 15, 16 years, and he died peacefully at home on his own, which is, thank you God for that one. But when Charlie was probably about like 4 or 5 years old, he was running. My brother's dog loved to run him, and he slid on the floor and he smashed his ear, and he got this big bubble on his ear. And I took him to a vet, and the vet said, "Oh, he'd have to cut this bubble open, get all this stuff out, and they'd have to put his ear so it stands up and all that." And okay, I had zero job at the time. I'm like, I can't do all that. Is there something I can do for him now? And there's like, well, you can have this medicine. Now, they were trying to scam me. I didn't care if he had a perfect ear, and neither did the cat. But all of a sudden, about 2 days after I took him to the vet, I woke up one morning and that big bubble was gone on his ear. And he must have cleaned himself off and everything. So he had one ear straight up and one ear just tilted.
Aww.
It was the cutest thing. And he didn't care. He'd lift it up.
Yeah.
But this is the funny part. It's so weird. When Charlie comes in, I will see a cat with an ear that is either just kind of folded in or down. He's done it to all 4 of my cats so far. And they'll walk in and they'll like one little ear, like they would have scratched their ear, and the one ear will be down for a second and then it'll pop up. My parents' cat's outside, and I had a stray cat from 3 years ago who did it as well.
Wow.
So whenever I see those, I totally go, "Hey, Charlie, what's up?"
Aww. Allie, I'm so sorry. You said my baby girl, Speedy Bear, died on my lap last September, and I have no idea why. I'm really sorry about that. Pets are family. And I remember before I had children, I was always, we're not talking about this. We're kind of off topic, but it's important. So we're heading here right now, and then we're going to get to the other stuff we planned on talking about. But I was always told I'd never have children. When I was about 15, it was impossible. And so the fact that I have 2, I always, say I won the lottery twice. But now I forget where I was going with this, Dave. I was talking about this and I got distracted. So
they're our family.
Pardon? Oh, they're our family. Yes. Thank you. And I was always told when I was pregnant with my first son, those animals of yours, they're going to take a back seat. they're going to be nothing but a pain in your neck. And you will wish they will just be like a rope with a big weight around your neck. They're going to cause you so many problems. This baby's going to take up so much of your time. And you know what I say to that? BS, because I can't say that word because we're on the radio too, on top of going out to the ethers all over the world. Because no, I have never, ever, ever. It's my pets have never felt that way. I adore them. They are my children. They're just my furry children.
Yeah.
And I had a friend that got pregnant a couple of years after me, and she was told the same thing. And she adored her pets too. And I said, it's not going to happen. And she told me after she had the baby was about a year old. She goes, never once did I ever feel that way. They're just like my other kids. So I think it's a matter of the way you look at it and the way you feel about your pets.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys, if you ever have questions for us about pets or anything, we'll go there. But today, Lorilei gave me some. I had our normal little messenger chat, and she sent me a video of the history. It was the History Channel with these videos, and then Lorilei has a video of something her and her son actually saw, and I looked at it too. And I looked at it. She knows me. I looked at it very judgmental, and I'm like,
but you should look at something like that.
But when you see the video, she's going to play it a little bit. When you see it, it doesn't do it justice, but you can still see from the video it's different. Her other half had mentioned something at one point about the satellites.
Well, he pulled out Star Walk because I said to Dave, and I tell other people talking off air or whatever, that I always look up in the sky. I mean, if I'm walking, I'm not going to, but especially at night I do, but in the daytime as well, because most people don't look. So like Dave, you said you looked at it judgmentally. No, you looked at it with a skeptical eye.
With the healthy bit of skepticism. Like I look at
should.
But it's a good video. I told her, I said, in my opinion, it is a unidentified object. What is it? I mean, we don't know. I get a feeling what it might be, but I don't know for sure. But
well, maybe we'll start out with it, but I will add this quickly. So my partner Dell has an app called Star Walk, and he uses it to look at what constellations and what have you. And he goes, "Oh, it's just a satellite." I don't think this is a satellite because
I told Lorilei, I said, when I stargaze, I've got a map on my phone too, so I know what a satellite looks like in the air. I've seen satellites in the air. This isn't a satellite. It's not doing the same trajectory as a satellite.
Mm-hmm.
Different.
Okay, well, let's play it. It's 2 minutes and 23 seconds, so we can't talk. Sorry, Dave, were you going to say something?
I said the satellites we see don't do the fading in and out like yours do.
But I will preface it for you. So it's 2 minutes and 23 seconds. So we're muted when that's on. So just so you guys know, but what it doesn't do it justice, like Dave said, but it went from this it was about 12:30 at night. And it's this little tiny faint thing. And all of a sudden there was 2, then there was 3. I didn't even tell Dave this. He goes, "Laura, was that moving up and down and all over?" I go, "Yeah, it was." And then it was going really bright and it was going different colors and it would look like it spins. So how about we play that now, Dave? We'll do that. And then
while you're watching.
Yeah, we'll be right back after. So you guys know 2 minutes and 23 seconds. So hang on, we'll show it and we'll still be here, but hang on. Okay, so what's the date today, Justin?
Thursday?
Yeah, it's Thursday now, so it's January 13th.
April.
April. Why am I saying January? Okay, there's another little one below it. Do you want me to step forward a bit so you can see it while I'm filming it? Here, I'll move. Okay, oh, I'm falling over. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can make it bigger, Jess. What time is it? About 12:30 at night?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's as big as we can make it. So this thing has been here for 2 nights. Now, the camera, of course, is not picking it up, but it's changing. I'll try and hold my hand steady. It keeps changing colors. That's my smoke, sorry. Keeps changing colors, and it goes from, there it is, super bright, and it goes from 2 to 3, and just before I started, see, it's getting smaller. It looks like it's flashing at us, and then it's changing colors.
So we don't, look, it's getting bigger and smaller, and you can actually see it with the naked eye. We have not been able to figure out what this is. Now it's small again.
Maybe it's a star?
I don't know, but why is it changing like that? Look it. And the camera's not picking it up, but it changes colors. Like now it's really small.
I have no idea what that is.
Okay, let's see if it gets bigger again. I'm trying to hold my arms up and hold them steady. Okay, now it's getting two lights again. There, now it's flashing again.
Maybe it is a flying saucer.
I don't know what it is. Well, there's a car coming now, so the light's going to set it off. Here comes the car right by. It still has a change color on camera, but you can, there, now it's three little dots, now it blurred. I don't know what this thing is.
Maybe it could be the car in space?
You think it's, well, Elon Musk does have a Tesla up at the International Space Station. And actually, with this blown up, you can see little tiny stars kind of shooting by it. Interesting. I gotta turn this off because my arms are getting tired.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to just preface that you guys have heard me talk about my son before. That's my youngest. He has severe autism. So I was trying not to make a big deal because he discovered about Nibiru or supposedly Planet X, and he's terrified that there's aliens coming to visit us, even though I've told him, no, they're not. They've been here forever. If they were going to come and attack us, they would have long ago. We're safe.
If there wasn't a night sky, the only other thing I would think it was is like it almost looks as if somebody's got like a kite up in the air, but it's not, because the kite doesn't move over as fast.
I didn't realize how much that was moving. I thought that was my camera. Like I kept moving around, so I was trying to hold my arms still, and I haven't rewatched it.
Well, I watched your moves because
you could tell when I was moving the camera, but I was holding it still. I just didn't realize how much it moved till I just rewatched it again.
It took me there was the second time I watched it for a message that I had to figure out, well, okay, is she moving the camera in this area or not? But then when I caught the point, I could tell when you moved the camera, and that thing was moving outside the camera.
I didn't realize that because I had my arms, they weren't supported, and I was holding it up, so they were starting to get sore. And so I was trying to hold it really still, like it was like this, right? So I didn't realize till I was watching, I was going, holy crap, I didn't move the camera there. That was this thing.
That was that thing. So I'm not quite sure what it was. If anybody has any comments they want to comment on it, please, by all means, feel free to, whether you agree or disagree. But I think that we know this in Mexico, and a lot of other places, every place except like or probably Canada too, the US and the UK. I know if anybody ever has a UFO sighting or something, like pilots and all that, they finally put something in place where they can make the report out without getting fired or getting crazy. But it's funny that every other country, especially Mexico, they're coming in all day long. We saw this, we saw that. They will put it out there as soon as it comes in. Is Canada the same way? Are they like the United States and UK? Are they putting it out?
No, we had Paul Hellyer. I should tell people where this was filmed too. I didn't tell them. I'm in a place called Thunder Bay in northwestern Ontario in Canada. So I'm smack dab right in the middle of Canada, practically on the shores of one of the bigger of the 5 Great Lakes in North America on Lake Superior. So I'm about 35-40 minutes away north, I guess you could say, from the Minnesota border, and I'm about 6.5 hours north of Minneapolis, Minnesota. So no, Canada does not do this, especially with our fearless leader, I say that facetiously, who runs our country. But we had Paul Hellyer, and I don't know, have you heard of Paul Hellyer before, Dave?
I haven't.
Okay, so Paul, I believe, is no longer with us, but he was the National Defense Coordinator, I think, for Canada, but he conferred with a lot of leaders around the world and defense systems around the world. Now, when he got elderly and he had because he had to sign an NDA and all this other stuff. He came out and he definitely put it all out there about what he knew, what he saw, what was available, what was out there. Howie, you just missed, well, you might see it. Anybody that's a friend of mine on here, you can see this video. It's on my Facebook profile. We were just profiling, showing the video that my son and I caught on the 13th.
If we want in about 10 minutes or so, you can go ahead and play half the video again. So people,
yeah, we need to replay it. So Zach says, I've seen, so anyway, sorry, you asked before I read that, you asked about Canada. No. And I know because a friend of mine who's been on the Angel Rock quite a few times, some of you guys will know him, Augie Nost. He is from Norway, but he used to own a pilot, I don't know, like a hangar and a small airline in Minneapolis. He now lives by Zach in Arizona. But he said, yeah, he said pilots see so much up in the air. And if they said anything, yeah, they were severely disciplined in the US, I know for sure.
Oh yeah, the US is like that. They say that you can report it, but they don't do crap about it. But we all know, and that's okay, because there's nothing any government can do to tell us any differently. We all know. He says,
read Zach's comment. You want to read it?
Yeah, where is it? Zach says, I've seen similar objects in the night sky was when I was at the Pinnacles outside of Death Valley, California, back in 2016, which I hear Death Valley is another place. I was going through that. Some of the top places to see. Death Valley was one of them. I know. Actually, what's really funny is the mountains of North Carolina. I did not know that. I just found that out.
About UFOs? Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah, there's a lot here. And Black Mountain. I think it's called, no, not Black Mountain, Brown Mountain.
I've heard Black.
Brown, we have a Black Mountain right up the road from me. That's Black Mountain, which is really beautiful. But Brown Mountain is it's in the foothills, kind of. It is that's where those three lights always appear, and they have for years. And people look down this crevice, and these three bright lights show up all the time. Nobody knows what they are, but people go there and film it constantly. Nobody's stepping up to any of that crap.
Well, how I started this too. Okay, I'd filmed this. I have filmed other stuff like this before. I've just never uploaded it. The reason why was I was on Twitter looking something up. I always tell people off air, usually, you want to know what's going on. If you hear a rumor or you see news, or go to their news feed in Twitter. There's always something coming up. They usually announce it there. And all of a sudden in the feed, it came up under UFO Hunter's channel, or I guess profile on Twitter. And it's a video of this guy, and he is filming, and it sounds very realistic. He catches cute little dog on there, and he's filming in the sky, and it looks like this saucer really far away. And then it gets closer and closer. It almost looks like it's going to land on the house, and it goes zoom, right off. And I thought, oh God, this got to be fake. Like, that was so fast. Like, it looked like a cut in the video. But what he did was smart. Was he slowed it down as it was coming towards the house. And then you see that what looks like a cut. No, it just zips off. There's a little bit of vapor behind it. So I posted that, and I've got anything from, was it a drone? I even shared it with Joe Montaldo. I give him a shout out. He owns UPRN, and he's the one that started this great network that we have. He also is one of the founders of ICAR, which is International Center for Alien Research. Even he said he couldn't definitively say whether it was real, was it a drone, what was it? So that's why. The one other thing I was going to add quickly was where I live. I'm almost wondering, and I have been told this by First Nation shamans around here, that we have a type of vortex in Thunder Bay. And I don't know, because we've got Bigfoot, all kinds of things like, well, Sasquatch. Haven't heard much about the little people with the Indigenous people, First Nations, except that don't whistle in the woods, apparently. And then UFOs, Michelle DeRoche, who's on this network with The Outer Realm on Wednesday and Thursday night. Well, tonight, right after us, with Amelia Pisano. She's been through Thunder Bay. She's been on Canada's Most Haunted, all kinds of things. She actually commented on our Paranormal Survivor episode. We didn't know her then. She has said, same thing, absolutely crazy activity in this city. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, my city, my actual city here, there's nothing that happens here. But The reason is I've tried to look outside here, but we have too many lights. There's too many lights
Ah,
everything. So it kind of muddies up everything. Now I did to go. Lorilei also showed me a picture from Michelle, who's usually in our audience today, from Australia. Some pictures she took. And I don't know if you guys ever seen this. I saw something similar when she showed me the pictures. I'm like, aha, that's cool. In the sky, it looks like almost there's like a cube or a rectangle, which is it looks like it's kind of 3D, like it's coming out from the sky, but it's got the sky on it. And she showed it at different times. And I have seen something similar to that because one time I kept putting it out there, I want to see something, I want to see something. And a voice said in my head, look to the clouds. They're in the clouds. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I start driving to work. I look up in the car and I saw something very similar to that. It wasn't exactly that, but the cloud looked different, like it had something was in the cloud. So I think my theory is they are here all the time, and they do have a way for it to. They're literally here, right in front of our eyes sometimes, and we just can't see it the way because they know.
I'm going to try and upload these things while we're talking because I didn't get a chance. I got busy today because Michelle, who's usually here, she's working today from Australia. Now, the reason why she shared these pictures, she brought them up on a show that I think my partner Dell and I had done a few months back. It was probably, I think, at the fall last year. And she mentioned, now, if any of you follow YouTube, there's a guy in there by the name of Mr. MB333. It's mainly a weather phenomena type of channel, but people send all kinds of cool and unexplained things they capture in the sky. Now, the reason why Michelle's picture was included was when she sent this in. I'm going to try and upload it. When she sent this in, what happened was, I guess Mr. MB333 had about 4 other people from all over the world that photographed the same phenomena and had sent it in to him. So that was the really cool thing about it. So I'm downloading them right now, and I'll try and see if we can upload. Well, this one, yeah, you can kind of still see it. But I will try and upload it to StreamYard while we're talking. So we've got a few other people. We've got Sandra here. Let's read some of these comments. So we got from Heather, I'm a miner, and there are lots of stories of UFO activity in mining areas. Interesting.
Why do you think? Why would I have heard stuff to that effect. I was wondering why. Does anybody who's in the comment section, if you have if you know of a reason why? I tried to put it together, and the only thing I can think about why we would see them in the mining areas is because they're very open areas. There's usually not a lot of clutter around a mining area. It's usually like an open sky or a desert or something like that, aren't they?
Well, you know what I was thinking too? A lot of people, sorry guys, the volume was supposed to be down on this. A lot of people lost their lives in a lot of mines too. There's a lot of energy there as well. That's what I was thinking.
It is. And you know what? To UFO people and to paranormal people, there is a connection between the two. There's a big connection between minerals. Thank you, Ed Odell. That is very true. Because there are some who say their vehicles ride on different things other than what we use, gas and all that, electric. And there are crystals. It's been said for a long time that they use crystals. There's people who said it. I can't validate it myself, but it sounds really possible.
I've got Michelle's picture. We're going to show it quickly here. So, this is the second one. Darn it. I think it's a second one, but I'll show it anyways. This was after a couple hours. We're going to have to move out of here for a second. So hang on, because these guys won't be able to see it otherwise. So give me a sec. We'll be here, guys. Just hang on.
Well, hello. It's just
okay, so that's one of the pictures. Sorry, guys, there's not a lot of room on the dashboard because we've got so many new hosts. So I am going to delete this, and then I'm going to upload the original one that she did, okay?
Yeah, Ed Odell. Ed just said that they just spoke about that connection last week that I was just talking about with the connection between UFO and paranormal activity.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I think I know there's a connection. I know there is because aliens were the first thing alien in spaceships were the very first thing that I saw before I started getting all the ghosty stuff when I was like 5. So
Wow.
that came in first and then that stuff did and then they kind of like switched off. But I think they're correlated. I think they have because aliens also would reincarnate just like we do, and they also have abilities to reincarnate like in a fifth dimension, so they could go fifth and fourth dimension in and out and all those things.
Okay, I got the second one. Let me put it up there. We'll have to disappear for 1 sec, guys. Give us a minute here. I'm going to use my touch screen here. Okay, so that was actually the second one. I thought that was the third one. It wasn't, or second one. It was the first one. It was this is the second after a couple hours. The first picture I showed was the original one. But the interesting thing, why she was featured in the episode was because she, like I said, there was 4 other people that from around the world that were showing this phenomenon. Let me put her background back up, guys, so it doesn't look black behind us. I just got to find it in here while we're talking.
In the void again. I'm in the void again.
You're in the void. Hang on. Are we? No, here we're in the background. You think I could find our darn there it is. There we go. There. Now it's back. Okay, let me go into our chat here. This is what happens, right, produce? And I'm pushing all these buttons here. Oh no, I don't want that. Stop. Here. Come back. There we go. So Heather says, I've heard stories of UFOs taking samples out of the pits. And Howie says, remember, we spoke of spirits and aliens in the air paranormal. We sure do, Howie. It's all encompassing. Heather says, extraterrestrial interest in the mineral being extracted, possibly. I wonder what do you think, Dave, they'd be interested in?
That's 2 people who are saying that too. Ed had mentioned about, I think Ed mentioned about because of the crystals or whatever that's in the mines and all that. And then she said above that too about she heard of them trying to look for things there. You know, if there were, I mean, the ones, I'm sure there's probably a race of ET that comes here who has nothing to do with helping or hurting or anything, but are literally curious about how we are. And they could be taking samples of stuff and take stuff. I don't think they concentrate. Everybody thinks that all extraterrestrials have in their mind are the people. There's other things that they might be thinking of, like what's going on, machinery, crystals, dirt.
Okay, so Howie's got a good point, but let's read Sandra's comment. You want to read that, Dave? I've been reading them, so I want to give you a chance.
Sandra says, I would venture to say that UAPs might be seen so frequently in mining areas because it's less populated and safer for them to come around. That is true, except in all reality,
I don't think they care.
I don't think because it's almost like people say, do we think that UFO have weapons? They would have no need for weapons because they're an advanced species. Advanced species don't need weapons.
I'm going to read Howie's thing, but I want to add to that, Dave. What I keep getting from Spirit about extraterrestrials is they are absolutely dumbfounded in the way of and puzzled by what I keep hearing is we are a young race because of our violence and the extremes of our emotions and the crazy, stupid things that we do as human beings, especially those with evil sort of violent tendencies. So yeah, they don't need weapons. Like, but then I also depends how far you want to go into this. If you believe that there is some kind of council or galactic federation and the prime directive where they're not supposed to interfere with us on this planet, I don't know. What's your thoughts?
No, that's true. Oh, Sandra said Sandra clarified that. It's absolutely correct, Sandra. I agree with you.
The prime directive, they don't want to disrupt things here, but I think they're kind of disregarding it as of more and more we're seeing.
Well, yeah, there's I don't know, maybe maybe Ed might know something about this. He's a UFO dude.
Howie.
Or Howie. Yeah, Howie. I'm
He
sorry.
had to change his name, you guys. Somebody stole his profile as Howie. So he's gone. He had
So
to use one of his
Howie,
other names. I think we have a middle name and a first name, or maybe that is your first name. I've always known Howie as Howie. He's a friend of mine. So it's
think
Howie.
that, I think that in a way, there is, I think there's races that are disrupting against our free will, but there's more races that I know they don't want to disrupt us because the law is that you can't change free will, but they're helping us along. And the way another species can help another species along is to drop gifts. So giving a gift is not changing somebody's
Trajectory.
it's basically just giving them a tool. They did that with what is it called? Chernobyl in the what is that? Nuclear. Sorry, what
Okay,
I could not
nuclear.
think
Yeah.
of nuclear. Nuclear power was, I believe, was given to us. It was given to somebody in an idea, but it was given to us. And it was supposed to be given to us for energy, to have free energy all the time. If human beings would have used it right, we would never ever been paying for electricity. That's a theory that I happen to pretty much subscribe to until somebody tells me different. And my mind can be changed.
We got great comments here, Dave. We got to read them. So Howie says, what if it is about vibration? It could be, but I actually feel, just like I said, and I don't know everything, as we say on this show, pretty well every show, we are not experts. We're sharing with you what we receive from spirit or what our own personal experiences are, like with near-death experiences or the paranormal. And I don't always just look at the paranormal, nor do I feel you do either, Dave, as just ghosts. It is everything that's unexplainable to me. That's what the paranormal is.
Yeah, that's me too. I pretty much call it like metaphysical, which is like this theory of spirituality and all that stuff. I
Yeah.
practice all those. I do. You guys, you would not believe in how much research I do on things literally all day long. I'll get a thought in my head that my people say to me, and I will look it up and start going, okay, you want me to know what that's about? You want me to know what that's about? So I'll tell you if I know it from experience or know it from hearing it. But like I said, as far as I don't know the whole agenda of what's going on. I have a feeling, like Lorilei does. We have strong feelings about certain things, but we also are in a position that we also realize that nothing is really set in stone. The universe is in dimensions, so we're constantly going back and forth through all these dimensions. So change is always constantly happening. Whatever you perceive is what you need to perceive.
Or like what spirit gave me, and I'm positive they do, and I say it all the time. What we perceive becomes what we believe, and it becomes our reality. I believe that because we are, and the other thing spirit's been giving me so much lately, we have forgotten who we are. So I went back with spirit with countered it with, but we have those who have no idea who they are. So how can you remember who you are when you never knew who you really are? Meaning, I truly believe we come from whatever your belief is. I'll say source energy. And, we are little bits and pieces of it. So we're manifestors, we're creators. We can do all this stuff we've been told we never can. But there's some people that hear this stuff and think it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo, that we're here by accident. Somebody just threw us on this planet. We've got one life to live and that's it. So how do you remember who you are when maybe you're kind of, I don't want to say bottom, but you're just starting to take a look around or ask why I'm here, or you know what I mean?
Yep. Can you pop Ed Howie's dimension versus vibration, or dimension is equal
We
to
got
vibration?
lots of comments. I was going to go through everything, but okay. What when the Earth defense weapon?
Howie had says, because I was talking about moving through dimensions, and there we go. And he said dimensions versus vibration, or dimension is equal to vibration. This is how I think of it, because I can't tell you. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I mean, a scientist might have a theory about it or whatever. And basically, they're just theories because these are things we can't really see. They're things that are happening. Everything's happening. For me, dimensions are different. Dimensions are different, and each dimension holds a vibration. So each dimension holds a vibration. And if we can match up, our vibration matches up to that dimension's vibration, we move over to it.
Yeah.
That's how, does that make sense?
Absolutely, or very simplified, like attracts like energy.
So I look at dimensions of not being vibrations, but containing vibration.
But
Again,
that's how we make a match for it, right? So, and I'll tell you, I always said we never went looking for the paranormal. The paranormal found us, as most of us, it does. But the only thing that stopped the physical attacks in my previous home was understanding finally about energy, that like attracts like energy. So it wasn't meaning that we were in a lower vibrational state, rather than how to counter what was going on, because we were in a place of fear. I used to say it was a fine line between fear and trying to understand about being granted dominion or the power to stand up and say, no, that's not happening on my watch. You need to leave. And because I said, you got something there that you can't see that can throw a full grown 175-pound man across the kitchen 15 feet, we were in fear. I'm no longer in fear, and understanding now how this all works to the best of where I am at this point in time.
that's
It's
the
not
whole thing.
physical attacks.
I think that's the whole thing about it. You guys, anything that ever happens that you perceive as bad, it's usually because there's just a little lack of knowledge behind it. Because I find that a lot of stuff that I thought was scary, when I confront it and find out about it, I'm like, oh, that's nothing. You know,
There
that's
was something somebody wrote here that I wanted to comment on. Where was it? Sandra says the less you see them until more people are ready. Agreed. Howie, perhaps this is it. Perhaps they are using certain laws or energy in one way or another.
yes. Here's something I do know, Howie. This is something that's really quite interesting, and we'll see if Lorilei agrees with me or not. I was told by my spirits, and something I kind of seen on the other side. Some of the laws, the universal laws that govern this planet, are not the same laws for every other planet or place. There are laws that we share in common, which is the law of one is on every scope of everything. The law of attraction is on every scope of everything. But there are some things, other planets, they don't use our laws, so they might have different physical laws than we do. So if we told another place about splitting atoms, they might laugh at us and go, "Really? That's all you got?" You know? Oh, we did a seance and produced a ghost. Really? That's all you got? So they probably have things that are way more than us.
I feel like they look at us, and again, that's all I ever get, because I do get people coming with an experience. I had one person calling it a vision, and she had a near-death experience she had shared in the reading, or before the reading, but I don't think she recognized how incredibly gifted and powerful she was, because as she was describing things to me, and this has sort of been evolving and growing for me over the last year, when it comes to something spiritual, I can literally start to see it as a movie playing. But when she was explaining, I believe she was on the end, she was on a ship, and she kept calling these visions, but I don't think it was visions. I think she was experiencing this in the dream state. But she started to describe the 3 extraterrestrial species. I could see them while we were talking. It was like she was projecting the images to me. Like I was looking it up and I'm going, this is who you saw, right? She goes, oh my gosh, yeah, like he was even wearing that. And it was just a depiction of one of the blue beings, I guess, kind of looking like a gray but bigger head. I think she was calling them Arcturians. These were her words, not mine. But then when she said, and I was laying on a stretcher and they were between my knees, I already knew she was going to tell me. Already knew. So she proceeded to tell me that it was one of the best experiences, we'll say, with fun time between adults, we'll call it that that she'd ever had in her lifetime. But I already knew there was going to be a baby. There was a baby. There was a girl. Like, it was like she was showing me all these things, right? So I feel like when they look at us, I keep hearing you guys are such a young race, and it's such a short period of time for you to be here because you don't live very long compared to other species. And even back in the day, centuries ago, when we lived longer than 80 plus years in developed countries, we'll say, right, that they just kind of stand on the sideline. They look at it as a school, but it's almost like we're not even in kindergarten. We're kind of at nursery school. And so you're right, David, like when you said with nuclear power, maybe that was a good lesson. I don't know, but it's like basically it would be like us handing a gun with bullets to a toddler that they know that we're not quite ready for it, like for a lot of things. I don't know. That's the way I look at it.
As soon as that first nuclear bomb with that big mushroom cloud went off, that changed. They were here. They're like, nope, we ain't going nowhere.
Well, we hear the story of Valiant Thor. I still don't know what to believe because I've heard varying stories. Some people say these are pictures of him, and he was supposedly a Venusian coming from Venus, with very, very concerned about, because what people don't realize, again, we're not the only ones in the universe, and we're kind of smack dab in between a lot of star systems and planets, that if we blow up our planet, everything is for everybody else.
Yeah, everything's affected. Vibrations go on and on. It's like every word we say right now is never, ever going to dissipate. It's out there in the ethers. It will always be there forever and ever.
Oh, how he wants us. He says, you two, you need to come on to the Orion effect. Let's talk shop one Sunday night. Just depends what time, because Dave has to be up at the crack of dawn, right, Dave? Because I'd love to have David there with me. I adore David. That's why we're doing a show together.
On Sunday nights, I could do a Sunday night sometime.
Right on. You know what, Howie? That's a perfect night for me. So you name the night, and I know I will be there, and I don't want to do it without Dave. So I got to say Dave's going to be there. He said it would be okay.
It's funny, Howie, that is called the Orion effect. And I don't know if you're familiar with Ra or the Law of One. Mm-hmm. Yes, the Orion are the ones who, in our eyes, would be the bad ones.
When you meet Howie, you're going to go, holy crap. He is like us. He is like us, Dave.
Oh, okay.
He's just like us.
That's scary right there.
Not that we're any better than anybody else, but I'm talking about connection to spirit.
But the Orion, they talk about the Orion group is like the infiltration. The Orion group almost sounds to me, when Ross speaks of it, not as evil, but as total catalysts. Like they will throw stuff out there in order to make us respond to it and see what happens.
This is a good point, guys. We haven't forgotten your comments. We're going to go up and down all over the place, because this is what we love. When you come here, I'm going to remind you, if you are listening, you're listening to 105.3 and 107.7 of New Orleans, Louisiana. You are listening to The Thing at the Foot of the Bed with my wonderful co-host David Hanzel and myself. We're discussing about ET. We're discussing about UFOs and a whole bunch of cool stuff. So if you want to join the conversation, please head over to UFO Paranormal, either on Facebook or YouTube. Come join the conversation, because we go where you guys are talking about. We just pick a topic and we don't know where we're going to end up. But
yes.
So this is Howie's comment. I thought it was important, because we've had this conversation on air and off. Sorry, that wasn't the one. It was about I do want to get to that, but there was one about sorry, my thing moved, about ET being possibly negative or positive. Oh, I don't believe aliens are negative. That's what was it? Some may be, however. So what did we decide, Dave? We've talked about this before.
Well, Howie, I think you heard me last time. The very first alien that I saw, which I was 5, and this was back in...
I was talking about you. I was on Lori and Fenton's show the other night on I forgot what the name of the network is. I'm sorry, guys. And she's huge. Worked for MUFON, the whole bit. I was telling her about you. Go ahead, Sid.
Yeah, so this is about, I'm going to say roughly 1970. In North Carolina here, where I am now, which is so funny how I swore I would never live in this godforsaken state, but here I am. So you go where they tell you to go. But the very first being that I saw then was what people now call a reptilian. But I have, and it confuses me when people talk about them because of the fact when I saw that thing in not in a third eye way. I mean, literally standing there in the hallway. Time stopped. There he was, looked at me, and the conversation was very short, but it was basically just, we're here. And that's it. And I thought about this today, so I'm glad you brought that up. I said to myself today, I wonder why that didn't affect my life. Because it didn't. I mean, my life didn't change because I saw that being. The only thing that changed was I was always very aware that there were other beings.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, if somebody were to say something weird about a spaceship or a UFO, I'd be like, and because I just knew. So it wasn't a big deal to me. But it's always been weird. I don't know which ones would actually be evil. I'm sure that there are some, because just like human beings and everything else.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. We've had this discussion on air, off air, that, and Lori and I sort of were on the same page as well the other night, that there's good and there's not so good or evil in every species and every type of being. Now, again, we don't know every single type of being. Maybe there truly is a really evil race, but I don't believe that, because the same thing with the Anunnaki. You hear people, oh my God, they're awful, they're terrible. And then you hear other people have had incredible, positive, amazing experiences. Like
people are scared of the Anunnaki. Some people say the Anunnaki cause problems. Some people say they can't wait for the Anunnaki to come back. I do know this. This is what I feel. I'm going to make a prediction. It's the tall whites. The tall whites, I think, are going to, I don't know if they'll be the first ones here, but I think those are really big helpers.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, right. I believe that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the tall, not the little grays. They look kind of like grays in a way, but they're the tall whites.
Well, what I understand, now again, I don't know everything, but from what then I got into A Tale of Two Timelines. I have interviewed Frank Jacob. I have not released that interview yet. I will, I promise. It's squeezing one in there when I have a pre-recorded interview. But he has a paid webinar called The Tale of Two Timelines. And I'll tell you, he gets into the J-rods and some of the grays that come from 7,000 years ago versus, I think, 12,000 years ago, and who's associated with what. And you get into it. And he's even put out the theory that some of these beings, the grays and the tall whites and stuff, are us from the future coming back to change some of the events so that have long impacted into the future. I don't know if it's true or not.
I think, yeah, and sometimes you hear stories, and I don't know which ones are true, but like the grays are actually manufactured.
That's where I was going, and I got off on a tangent.
That's okay.
The little guys, they're like clones or almost the servants of the tall.
But they do have a soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they were there. But then if you look at it too, we have been adjusted several times.
Mm-hmm.
People have, so who knows?
Well, like I said, we ended up talking about our paranormal experience in the previous home on Lori and Show, but then we got into some of this stuff, and I've had him on the Angel Rock quite a few times. Paul Anthony Wallace, he's over in Australia. He's written many books, but the trilogy of it's Escape from Eden, Scars of Eden. I always forget the third one. He's got Fifth Kind TV on YouTube. And he said, he's been on my show many times, the other show I do. But the one thing that always was so profound for me, and I had to agree with him, was he said, so what if we get into this Anunnaki theory that they created us, right? But the first version that they created was too brilliant, too smart, too gifted, because apparently if you go with the theory that we were created by the Anunnaki to basically be their servants and do their bidding. So the first race was too far advanced, human being or Homo sapiens 1.0. So they went, nope, this isn't going to work. So they go back to the drawing board, and we get where we are now today. Homo sapiens 2 point whatever, could be 10 point whatever. But he said, when you look at this, there was even a movie with John Travolta about this called Phenomenon. But say somebody has a near-death experience, or they get a knock on the head or a coma or whatever. Hello there, sweetheart. My cat's up here visiting. No, don't put your head up there. So, and then all of a sudden, when they wake up, they've got a new ability. They can speak a language they never spoke before. They can play piano like a concerto pianist or whatever, right? He says, so did anything really change with them? Not necessarily, but what if that knock to the head or the coma switched a light switch, what was still in the brain, but hadn't been turned on because we don't use our whole brain, right? We only use, depending on who you talk to, 10 to 20%. So after that little incident of the coma, whatever, that the light switch gets turned on, and that's why those gifts come up.
I
Interesting.
I don't know how they get here. I just from the near death experience, going back and bringing back a memory with you is part of the gift coming back here, and it could be something's unlocked too because I know this. There are people who I've read a little bit about this, so I won't say I know it. I'm going to say I read it. I don't want to lie.
We didn't really talk about NDEs. We talked about comas or like a lightning strike with the movie Phenomenon with John Travolta. That was just something. So you didn't necessarily have an NDE because I think people, when they come back with the NDEs, always come back with incredible heightened gifts.
Yeah, the thing is, what you did say though is, I think, could be true because of the fact that I've read about people who have been abducted and stuff, and they came back here and they had certain abilities, or later on, and this happens to people like us all the time. We get what the coin spiritual phrase would be downloads.
Yes.
But people use that kind of they throw it around too much. A download is literally like a state of hypnosis almost. It's like something happened to me through one hypno thing I did do. When I say the word blue or see blue, it used to be that this dude who looked like Jesus, where it was Jesus, would walk through these woods and I'd be sitting down with this tree and he would just sit with me and talk with me. And it was weird when it happened. Now that blue is always, every time it comes out, when I need to think of something like that or knowledge, it comes out. So I think knowledge is stored in us through downloads. And I think maybe ETs can give us downloads in here to be unlocked at a later time. And I think that's why you go to a coma or something and something happens and unlocks it. And maybe that's why they can do these things.
We're mostly talking about like a head injury, it seemed like some knock to the brain. And we've got so many great comments here, you guys. If I don't see them and you still want me to read them, if it's still, just retype them again. Go ahead, rather than me scrolling all over here because my computer's jumping all over. It's being naughty today. I wiped the screen, not wet, and the keyboard. And I don't know if maybe it's still a little bit damp. It wasn't wet. It was a very dried out, just lightly damp. But maybe it's not happy with that. So I'm going to read Howie's comment, and then I want to read Sandra's too. So Howie says, that could be a signal to the ETs that we were at the point of the last time nuclear blast. And I have to agree with you. Maybe that's why we are seeing more and more evidence.
If there ever was a reason, that's a good reason. I mean, they know that. I mean, we know it too because outside
here, I'm going to let that cat out before she keeps screaming. Go ahead.
Outside of here, we know that we're spirit, and they go to spirit as well when they pass away or whatever they do. They don't really call it death, I believe.
Right.
But yeah, I think I kind of lost my train of thought.
That's what happens. There's so many thoughts going through your brain, and you start talking.
The nuclear blast, that I just didn't want to make us sound so stupid, but I am sure there are other species like us or other beings like us who know damn well that we might do something stupid. And let's face it, in the last 5 years or so, we came really close. And even before that. So I think that's why they're watching. They're not going to let it happen because it's not.
Thank you. You just read my mind. I truly believe they will not let it happen, but we were very close. Do you guys remember
2012?
I'm going to read Sandra's comment, but in the I think it was about 5-6 years ago, it made major news that a whole bunch of people, I think all of Hawaii received this text at 8:30 in the morning Hawaiian time that nuclear attack was imminent. Take cover, and people were just going psycho. They were going ballistic, as would anybody getting a text message like this. It was not a hoax, but I remember the government, US government, tried to explain it away. But depending on who you talk to, as I understand it, there was an imminent nuclear, not that it was going to destroy the whole planet, but there was a nuclear attack for whatever reason. I'm not sure what that was, but it was intercepted. This is what I've heard. It was stopped.
Yes, that was not too long ago. And did you guys hear about 2012? And I guess it just came out. There was a comet that came, or a rock that came. It was on course to hit us in 2012.
Yeah.
Somehow, they're not, I don't know if they said it, it was kind of knocked off
trajectory. Yes.
And it missed us, because 2012 was actually, should have been, or could have been the end.
I'm going to read Howie's comment quickly, and I want to get to Sandra's. Heather, I know you made some comments. If we missed them, please feel free to copy and repost, or let me know to scroll up, and I will definitely read your comments as well. Anybody else that I missed too, please either just retype or ask me to scroll up. So Howie says, yes, my nephew's married to a Hawaiian princess, and he contacted me right away when that happened. And I remember that. That was freaky about the text message. Can you guys imagine? If you got a text message and it says a nuclear attack is imminent, take cover. Where are you going to take cover?
Do you know what's really funny about that?
What?
My reaction before 2015 would have been a lot different than my reaction now. Now if somebody said nuclear bomb is going to hit, I'd be like, and I'm cool.
You know what I would say? Why tell us?
Yeah, just let it hit.
Why tell us? Like, there's nothing you're going to do about it unless you've got some. And even if that's going to work,
I think people, if nobody said anything to anybody, people could just enjoy whatever life they had left.
Yeah.
Because I'll say this and I'll say it again. It's my main mission here. No one dies. That's such a lie.
And we don't. Literally, when you said your reaction would be different, I kept hearing, "Yep, I'm going home." That's all I think of, going home.
Just be it. When I was after my coma, when I was on my little motorbike or the moped thing, and I went flying off. And I remember,
I still can't believe you did that.
I remember thinking I was in the air. All right, so this is how it ends. I was just like, okay,
I'm going home.
So
Thanks for being patient, Sandra. Sandra adds, Earth school is a very energetically dense and heavy place to incarnate. Absolutely. It's no wonder that we come across as somewhat dense. LOL. I don't think we're dense. I'm just going to add that quickly. Not dense, just that we haven't been a species long enough to evolve to the state where our brothers and sisters
She means every other person other than us, because
okay.
A lot of really stupid. There are a lot of.
I'm trying to be kind.
I'm sorry, people listening out there, but if you look to your left or look to your right, you have a 50% chance of seeing somebody stupid.
Never mind. I wasn't looking for this channel, and when I'm working on resin and stuff, my hands are sticky, and I just got my 2 monthly gifts to myself subscription boxes, right? So I'm deep in resin, and this channel starts playing, and it's all about the Karens and Kevins of the world. And like, literally, I turned on today while I was getting ready, and I went, you got to be kidding me. What people are screaming and yelling and fighting about. It's like, you're not another saying from Spirit. I say it all the time. If it doesn't make any difference 10 years from now, let alone 10 minutes from now, let it go and pick your battles.
That's I was just going to say that. The saying is, choose your battle. Not all the battles. You're only supposed to choose a couple of them, but they're trying.
I'm going to find the name of this channel, because these two chicks were ramming each other with carts. Like, they were ready to go blow to blow in a Walmart.
And now can you imagine, what would people like that do when ET finly comes here?
That's why I kept, you know what, had we not gone
the first ones running out of Walmart with their guns going, let's shoot them, let's kill them, and it's like, no. You
Well,
idiot.
I was just thinking though, okay, well, lots of times they can just shut your guns down with a look.
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
And
Now we have to remember, if they can come here, they can probably do
no,
anything.
but I thought, like, why, what are we waiting for? Like, practically the whole world knows. Like, why don't we just have official disclosure? Until we went through what we did for the last couple of years, and I went, nope, we're not ready. Not ready at all.
Yeah, I wish we were. It's in spirituality, guys, it's only 1% of this world needs to switch over to it's like 1% needs to become the same mindset.
Mhm.
Um, and that's a minds of acceptance, love, whatever, that kind of mindset. And when that 1% is reached, it's a lot easier for them to come here, but they won't come here until it is.
Okay, this channel with the Karens and Kevins, just in case you want something just mindless to watch and marvel at the absolute insanity of some people. And I'm not being judgmental. It's just like, wow. It's called Unluggy. UN as in Nancy, Lugggy. I wasn't looking for this channel, but yeah, you know what? Like I say, and when you look at things in the bigger picture, right? But a lot of people, like I say, that's why when I've been getting from Spirit, we've forgotten who we are.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you, there's so many people though that don't realize, and I'm not trying to sound elitist or judgmental. It's just the fact that, and I know you meet them too, Dave, any of us that do readings or spiritual teaching or anything like that, or maybe even if you're not into spirituality, you meet so many people have no idea why they're here. Like, why am I here? What's my purpose? I'm here by accident. Life sucks. I'm not saying that. You hear that from people rather than trying to make the most out of it. Like you said, Sandra, it's a school. It's one of
Yeah.
the most difficult places to come, but the biggest opportunity for soul growth and learning and opportunities, right? And I even, so much as I found that Next Level Soul podcast. I really enjoy it because they have so many different people on there, and the amount of people that do channeling, the collectives of angels or ET or whatever, they've commented about there's a lineup over on the other side for souls wanting to come here and how they look upon those of us, each and every one of us that is here, that have had the courage to come here, because you come in with spiritual amnesia, you come in with these dense, heavy, fragile bodies, and yet you can grow and learn so much here.
Yeah. And you know what's really funny is even Greys would think that we are fragile.
We are fragile.
We are fragile.
You're lucky you didn't break your melon on that moped. Crack it open.
Fragile. Yes, I was I had a thought, I was gonna say it, and
I'm sorry.
it flew away. It's now and
It'll come back.
it's a UFT, it's an unidentified flying thought.
It'll come back. Heather said, mines are big with large work fences. I think the number one reason, getting back a little bit to our comments before, is the minerals being mined. We mine palladium, but there's also a percentage of gold, silver, nickel, etc.
Gold seems to be the...
I was just going to ask you, what's so special about gold?
I do not know this as fact. I know this as research.
Right.
Gold is a mineral that's used to charge things, that is used literally as fuel.
Okay.
Because human beings always, like, people who don't know about crystals, okay, crystals are actually very awesome. Real crystals, real everything, they hold energy. Some people can feel them, some people cannot. It doesn't mean you're bad or you're stupid or you're useless because you can't feel it. Some of us are just very prone to it. There are certain crystals people give to me and like, put this in your hand, it hums, and I'll put it in my hand. I'm like, what is it humming? I don't hear anything, but that's because it's me. It interacts. Certain crystals interact with certain people too.
One of the ones that's really... Oh, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Because like moldavite,
you just took it out of my mouth, Dave. I was just going to say it.
Well, I'll let you talk about it too. Next. there's hardly any crystals that do anything for me. Some do. There are a lot that do, but moldavite, when I wear my moldavite necklace, which is actual real moldavite that somebody gifted to me, the readings are different. The readings are way different, just how I perceive them and everything. So the energy works with me really good. But there are some who have a bad effect to moldavite.
I know there are a lot of people that are sensitive to crystals, cannot go anywhere near moldavite. I can tell you with Dell, and he's a few years behind me. I sound so elitist tonight, and I don't mean it that way. Just Dell's a big skeptic, and he's on his own little journey when he gets there. But for example, never thought we'd ever talk about fairies, but he was researching little people. He's Métis, which is First Nations and another nationality. He connected with another YouTuber up in Alaska, and they talked about this. Anyways, years ago, I kept going on and on about moldavite. And I said, do you want me maybe to pick you up a piece? I said, you really should be picking it out for yourself, because that's probably the best connection you'll have is when you pick out your own crystals that you're drawn to. But I did. And he played hockey, still does from time to time. And he had this, I've never seen anything like it. I was worried it was cancer. And it was big raised bump. It was very discolored. It was in his hair line. So I brought this moldavite home, and he sticks it on his third eye for probably about 10 days. Goes to sleep. He'd be wearing it or a piece of tape across his third eye. I didn't know what he was doing with it. I wasn't going to ask you. You go do you, buddy. You got your moldavite. He comes up to me and goes, look. And he's going like this. I go, what am I looking at? And he goes, he used to call this growth his horn. It wasn't like a horn, but he'd call it that. And I go, what? He goes, my horn, it's gone. And I'm going, it's gone. Like, there's nothing there. Like, there's no mark. Like, what did you do? He goes, well, it took about 9 days, but I just put it on my third eye and I focused it and went to sleep, and it's gone. He didn't know what he was doing. He had no clue. And again, I'm not claiming that moldavite is going to cure things, but it is a powerful crystal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very powerful. I think it is. It's powerful enough to give some people terrible headaches and make them sick. And then
vomit. Yeah, I've heard that before. Dizzy, vomiting.
If I do anything with UFOs on my own, anything about that, I put my moldavite on every time.
Mine's, you know what I've done with it? I used to carry it in this little fairy container. I'm going to read your comments, guys, just a sec. And it had a little pop top so I didn't lose it. And I've got it downstairs as my resin, because this piece is a Super 7. Where I live in Thunder Bay, we're well known for this, an Auralite 14. And this is also known as a Super 7, like I said, or Melody Stone. It's got 7 different types of crystals, and I use this quite a bit in healing. It's got cheap metal on here. I was watching a YouTube video. I do make jewelry, and I was teaching how to wrap it. So it's lasted with this cheap wire. So I thought, I've got to do my moldavite justice. So what do I want to do with this? So I was going to wire it or possibly add it to some resin so I don't lose. I wasn't sure what. So I haven't had it around me. Now I'm going to go grab it after a show.
Now, hold on a minute.
I'll read Howie's comment while you're grabbing it. He says its density, its conduit ability, and its rate of melt. And Zachman's got a comment too, but go ahead, Dave.
Oh, no, that's very true that's a really good point about Howie, about the conduit ability and its rate of melt, because that is something a lot of people don't know that about gold. Mm-hmm. It really could be quite useful. And I think, well, you know what's really funny? It's my least favorite.
Me too. I love silver. I don't like gold.
Silver, pewter, anything like that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to show you this real close up. This is my moldavite, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's...
Oh my God. I think you've shown me that, David. It's beautiful.
Little green crystals like that. And it's got... The way this was so perfect for me, it was gifted to me, is that it's moldavite and it has the triangle. And I am a big fan of the Trinity. I use the Trinity all the time. Not the Bible Trinity. I'm not talking about that. Mm-hmm. But the threes, the corners, Metatron's cube, everything like that. The connection that threes have.
I'm wearing Metatron's cube right now.
Okay. So see, you guys, we practice what we preach. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so something like this, the fact that it has this moldavite in it, which is just
Beautiful.
shaved, and just that it's going
Is
to,
it in liquid, Dave, or is it in
it's
just
not,
glass?
it's not, you can shake it around.
Can you?
It's not in liquid. I can't remember, it's in something. The silver goes with it that's inside of it, and I got to remember what it
Now,
is.
moldavite is supposed to come from certain type of asteroid or something, isn't it? Like a big
Yeah,
asteroid?
that's the only place for
Mhm.
moldavite. It's
Mhm.
it's produced by an asteroid that hit, and so it's basically not just earthly. It's not from here.
I
Um,
had bath crystals that were made from moldavite, like probably the essence of it. And
Probably,
they're
yeah. Because I've had moldavite. I was stupid and I bought moldavite incense, and it was the worst smelling crap I've ever had in my life. Don't buy moldavite because it has nothing to do with moldavite. I think they just literally put that on the package, and they got me. They got me.
Well, I was the same way, buying Moldavite, anything. Speaking of Metatron's Cube, I didn't think to grab them, but I have crystal charging plates with Metatron's Cube all painted in there, and inside the resin, I put all different types of crystals. I have a charm for Archangel Michael. I can put anything in there and then charge it with Reiki because I do crystal Reiki. So let's read Zach's comment and we'll read down Howie's. So Zach says, it wouldn't surprise me if gold is used as an energy source since it changes property over time.
Absolutely agreed.
Mhm. So Howie says, gorgeous piece, your Moldavite. He says, look at my show symbol. And he said, it's called the Orion Effect Podcast. He said, I created the symbol. I felt drawn to create it. We'll have to take a look after Howie, or because I don't have a picture to put it up here. So, but you know what? Like what I keep feeling the call for, there's a couple things, and it has been for years, sacred geometry. I haven't really gotten into it a lot, but numerology, numbers, the Trinity, all kinds of things like that. So powerful. Oh God, Sandra says they got her with the moldavite incense too.
Yeah, oh, you got the motivators too. Sandra? Did that not smell terrible? It was like, and it was okay. If you guys don't, I burn a lot of incense. I love incense, and you know how you can tell if it's a good incense? You should be able to hold your face over it, and it won't burn your nose. You won't sneeze. You won't
Oh,
nothing.
really? Okay.
Yeah, if it's good. And I did that with that moldavite, and I had a big one, and I lit it. I put my face on it. I was just.
Well, there's moldavite bath crystals. And I remember when we were in our previous home, my eldest son loves baths. It's hard for me to get in and out with my back. So he swore, because he used the crystals, he came down with the flu the next day later, not the stomach flu, the respiratory flu, long before what we've gone through the last 3 years. He was so convinced that that's what made him ill. And I said, have you ever thought that maybe that was something that you needed to release from your body? Sometimes when we get ill, right, it's meant that our body needs to rest, detoxify, and recuperate. He wouldn't touch them. Oh, there. Thank you for doing that, Dave. Oh, Howie, that's cool. Reminds me of the Vitruvian Man, kind of, by Da Vinci.
Yeah, it's the triangle and the circle and all that around there. You got
Cool
the triangle
symbol.
in the triangles. There's so much. There's so much going on in that little picture. You'd be surprised. It's really good. I
It's
love it.
excellent. Excellent job, Howie. So Sandra goes, it was awful. Even the bath crystals, they were green, but they were really heavily perfumed. And I
Yeah.
don't like a heavy perfume smell of anything.
You know what? Somebody, after I bought them, I complained about it. Somebody said to me, well, do you know what moldavite smells like? And I'm like, oh, that's true. Why would I even think that moldavite? Because I've got crystals in my house, and my house does not
Do you
smell
think
like.
it would kind of smell kind of sulfury, sort of, because coming from an asteroid?
I don't know. It was just gross. It was just disgusting. It was like a mossy. Yeah, it was like a mossy, not like a good moss. It was like
Like there's good moss.
it was like an old pond moss caught on fire, and it had a lot of dead bugs in it for 3
Ugh.
years. It was just not good. It was just not good. But they got me. But they got me.
Speaking of bugs, and I don't know why I thought of this, but I'm going to mention I went and picked up dog food. I told you I did before we did the show. And I was looking online because I didn't know that DoorDash can actually deliver dog food. It can deliver Sephora beauty products. Who's in that much of an emergency that you need it? But anyways, do you know what I saw on one of the stores online?
Huh.
The dog food was strictly made of insects.
Ooh.
I'm getting goosebumps. Who the heck, like your dog needs protein meat. Like who would feed your dogs? I've seen vegan. And
Depending on the insects are super duper high in protein.
yeah, but they also are covered with their feces, okay,
Yeah,
because they're
that's
not
gross. I
clean. So when
understand.
they're ground up, I know 70% of human beings are allergic to that powder that gets ground up from their feces, from the shells, their shells.
Ew.
So I would be worried about my dog because they're omnivores as well. Plus, I know they're high in protein, but I believe that we need the minerals and the iron and stuff,
They do.
especially as
They
dogs
really
being
do. Because
carnivores.
people ask about cats, like why is it bad to give cats canned tuna? Because it's the taurine, it's called, or taurine, or it's like that.
Mhm.
That's not in that food. They need to have that. That's what's in meat.
So I only give them the treat every now and then. I didn't mean to get off track here.
Oh,
Let's read
no,
Zach's comment.
it was fun.
I love, I don't think I read this. I love silver more than gold as well. I'm a coin collector and prefer to have pure silver coins since silver tends to stay consistent in its value. Yes, and it's more readily available depending on the market than gold too.
And you know what's really funny? My body is allergic to just about every metal except titanium, and that's what's in my ears. So even like surgical steel earrings, my entire ear will turn red and I will itch. I will
Me too. I can't even like gold's okay because gold's supposed to be okay for allergies. I don't think I've tried
it's
titanium. I should try.
titanium is
That's
my
when I
favorite
wear
metal and
earrings.
it works. I put gold on and I put on one, and this is how you know. Just people, literally, when I was younger, somebody could hand me their jewelry and tell me, I could tell you if it's real gold or fake or whatever it was, because I mean, my hand would puff up really bad. I don't know how bad it is now. I've just always done titanium, and I've had surgical steel in me, obviously, for my surgeries. So I guess I'm probably okay. But if I were to wear gold earrings, even pure gold, my whole ear will like run. It'll start dripping.
Mine still does too. And what the weird part is, okay, so my ears are so bad. I've had them pierced since I was about 7 years old. And I had, I think, 3 piercings here and one here, but I never wear earrings because of that problem. Yet I have my tongue pierced. I have piercings all over. I have metal in my shoulder. It's not a problem. So for some reason, my ears don't like metal.
Yeah, well, that's just the way it goes. But I think I think that what we were saying about gold being a property that is useful, it is. I'm sure it is. I mean, we might all think that rocks are stupid, but yet they've built pyramids, they've built walls, they've built structures out of rock. So we don't. I guess we don't know everything about the properties. I really want the aliens to get here so I can ask them all these
Well,
questions.
Sandra said she loves her piece of moldavite. I look at crystals
Hard to
as one of the
find
most
now.
incredible gifts from Gaia or Mother Nature, Earth, whatever you want to call our planet that we live on. And I just adore them. I really, really do, because I think you either do or you don't, right? It's kind of like astrology, because not everybody that's into spirituality is into crystals. And I will tell you a quick story. I have met so many people that when you get talking to them and they'll say, "What are you wearing?" And I'll say, "It's a crystal." "Oh, I really like it. It's beautiful." Then I'll tell them that it actually heats up, vibrates. There's strands of red in here that'll almost glow when I'm using this for healing work. Okay. And they'll go, "Well, isn't crystals just a bunch of BS?" And I'll say, "No." And so what I tell them, like if I'm talking to someone locally here, especially, we've got two metaphysical stores. One of them has a crap load of crystals compared to the other. And I'll tell them, so if you get a chance, it's actually called Mystic Garden. I'll say, head in there and take a look. Ask them where the crystals are and just take a look. Feel like where you're drawn to and go what your eyes draw you to. I've had so many people say to me they practically almost dropped the crystal when they picked it up because it just almost zaps them. They find it so incredible.
I was going to I was listening to you, but I was also looking at something because we didn't do a reading, but we're getting to that time to do
I
that.
was thinking that already. Dave, you and I are getting more and more in sync. It's kind of
No,
scary. So if you guys have a question, or are you just pulling a general card, Dave?
I do want to. Did want to give something for our friend Howie, because this isn't something I personally know, but it's something that came across my mind a long time ago, and then all of a sudden this deck came out. This is a deck of cards by Diana Cooper,
Love
and it's my Dragon Oracle deck.
it. Love
Now,
it.
when I bought it, I was surprised because I've known about dragons since I was a very young child. Before I saw dragons, I was drawing dragons. They didn't always look like the dragons you see now, but I was drawing them. I knew about them and all this other things. But there are a lot of dragons here, or dragon energy that goes with outer space. Because there's like the
Can
lilac.
I throw something in there quickly? Because a Canadian lady that has become a friend, Sandra Roy, she goes all around the world teaching. She's putting a metaphysical place. Up to 10 people can stay there for healing and all kinds of things, right? So she wanted to do a show. She called it Hybrids. And she got ill the second time she was supposed to come on. So I had her on about a week ago. And believe it or not, she was talking about exactly what you're saying about dragons. And she feels she is a hybrid dragon. Many of us are here on this planet with a lot of the elemental type spirits and energies. So, she told me I was, because I've had many stories about fairies and a connection too long to get into tonight. And she goes, "You're a royal elf," from what she'd picked up. And I've had so much confirmation, including another friend that comes on my show. I need to have her back on again, Varla Ventura. I know Howie, you'll know who she is because she's been on Jason Bland's show. And you know what she told me the last time she was on? She goes, "I pull a tarot card." She calls it tarot. Some people do. Either way is right, just like chakra or chakra. And she said, "I pull a card." She goes, "Lorilei, without fail, every time I've been on your show or anytime," she goes, "I have pulled it. I saved the card to show it to you." She goes, "I end up pulling the Empress card for you." She goes, "I've never had that happen ever in my life, that I always pull the same card."
Instead of a reading too, I got to tell you guys, and this is for Lorilei as well, and I'll think about this for all of you guys or for anybody's listening. Now, but I talked about dragons. This is like the black dragon from Saturn. So this is stuff that comes up in spiritual stuff or on cards. I talk about dragons. This has to do with spiritual wisdom and wisdom of the cosmos and everything else. I was drawing dragons when I was young. I also saw a reptilian. Reptilians are also known as Draco or dragon. So reptilians also could be, when somebody says like you've got dragon energy or something like that, they might be speaking about you've got reptilian energy. Because
Love it.
what I'm saying, I don't know. I'm just saying it's really quite interesting how all those three things are kind of popped in there.
Well, you do know with the brain stem that it's actually been referred to as the reptilian part of our brain.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Like, I think we have a real connection with reptilians. I'm going to read this comment from Canlin, and feel free to add anything Canlin says. I just want to make a comment before. She says, Canlin says, "I have a medical issue that I am dealing with, severe night sweats. Not sure what is causing them. Any insight?" First of all, I want to make it very clear. I do some medical intuition as well as being a nurse. None of the things that we will suggest or say tonight is in any way to be construed as medical advice. I can't diagnose anyways, even with medical intuition or as a nurse. So, but we may be picking some things up. So Dave, are you feeling any insight on this at all?
Yeah, spiritually
wise,
spirit in the spiritual sense of it, a lot of the night sweats are actually being caused by anxiety, and it's the anxiety is carrying over into your sleep state. That's what it feels like to me. That could be.
I have something a little different along the lines of what Sandra's saying. Go ahead, finish up, Dave.
That's okay. Physically wise, I'm not quite sure, but I think a lot of the night sweats has to do with what's wrong with you. So I would see a doctor for that, but I would try to also kind of adjust your perception a little bit. You're going to be okay with whatever the medical issue is. You're going to eventually be okay. Trust me. You are not going to blow up tomorrow or nothing like that. You're good. So you take a little bit of that anxiousness out of the whole thing. I'm going to shut up because they could just keep yapping, and you're probably going to say it anyway.
Okay, so I agree with Sandra. I'm feeling something hormonal. And as Dave was talking, because we, as you've seen, him and I are very in sync. She goes, I do have a major anxiety panic disorder. Oh my God, yes, David. Yes, well, this is going to go hand in hand with what David's saying, that part of what I'm feeling is very important for you, depending on where you live, to get those shoes and socks off and get out on the earth if you can. Okay, if it's wintertime where you are, if you got to wear shoes, go with something natural if you can, wood or what was the other one? Wood. We used to use shoes like that with natural materials, right, to pick up the vibration of the earth, because I'm feeling like there's a lot of grounding that needs to be taking place. That's a natural way to do it, or you can look it up online. Okay, so to help sort of balance out some of this energy, because I'm feeling kind of outbalanced, I'm also hearing to maybe take a good look at your diet. Get a blood panel done maybe just next time you're at the doctor's, all right? But there's also, I'm just feeling really frenetic kind of energy, especially when you're about to go to bed. You've got running thoughts. Sorry, my eyes are closed as I'm saying this. Running thoughts. You just can't stop things. Like your body is literally in overdrive while you're in bed. So really almost developing like a routine. And I don't say this disrespectfully, but how we would with a child. Okay, we do the same thing at night. We kind of wind down. We follow things so the body is getting, the message is that it's time to go to sleep. Dave, I can hear your thoughts. And so really, go ahead, let Dave go, because this is so funny. It doesn't usually happen. I'm getting goosebumps.
I'm only going to say it because they started chiming in when Lorilei was talking, yeah. and Caitlin, if you know it, they always are talking to me. Her and Sandra are correct about the hormonal imbalance that does go along with the anxiety. And when she was talking about nature, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to tell you something that I'm not a woman, so I haven't tried it on myself. They just tell me that it is to be true. If you go ahead and lean against a tree barefoot, just take some deep breaths, get in rhythm with the tree.
I wasn't going to go all into that, but you go ahead, Dave.
The tree can actually fix your energy. It actually can hormonally fix your energy and everything. Trees are really good for that. Trees get they do not get the credit that they deserve on this planet. It's a natural thing that's here. So you might want to try that. I agree. A lot of these things that you can help those night sweats out. You can be okay.
You can. And like I said, I'm feeling like you're not quite in balance energetically. I really feel this is, and I'm not diagnosing here to make this clear, but I'm almost feeling between the diet and where you are in life, because we do, and I'm not being disrespectful, I'm a woman as well, but perimenopause, we get into menopause, and things do seem to be not quite in balance. What I do want to give you as advice, I'm hearing from Spirit, is if you do have a hormone panel done, also hearing maybe hopefully he'll check your thyroid, he should, but also seriously look at how you want to bring those hormones back into balance. Something natural is always better, and I'll leave it at that.
Know this, when you get done with this today, take the excitement and the vibration that you have from knowing that you're going to be okay, and just keep seeing that in the future. Just keep focusing on that. When you do that, it'll come to you faster. And we really can overcome a lot of these things. Human beings were given that gift. I know other species, even ETs, are probably going, why aren't they healing themselves? Why are they going to the doctor? What's up? But that's just how we do things here. But just keep positive. Keep that positive to what you want, what you need to go away. The universe has to give it back to you.
What you perceive becomes what you believe, and it becomes your reality. 3 of the most powerful things you have, Candlin, and all of us listening, are your thoughts, your words, and your emotions. So I agree 100%. Dave, I want to read these 2 comments. Dave, we're almost out of time. I went by too quick. So Candlin says, you guys rock. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay, Cadlin says you guys rock. So much info. I will definitely do that. I appreciate this so much. Just before I go to, anybody that's missed the show or wants to see this, there's always a replay on YouTube, on Facebook under UFO Paranormal Radio, and anywhere where talk radio or podcasts are carried, we are there. Sandra, and I appreciate what Sandra said here. Do what you can to connect with the elements you vibe best with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Jane's here. Jane, you were so quiet. I'm going to read her comment quickly, and then we're going to let Dave tell you where you can find him, and then me. So Jane says, many women have very low testosterone levels, get a hormone panel. I had hot flashes going through menopause and took several supplements, never had another problem. Yeah, that's, if you can go natural, even though I come from a big pharma background, I always go natural if I can. Go ahead, Dave. Where are we going to tell them where to find you?
Goodness, if you guys are interested in knowing more about me or getting a reading, you can go to my website, thewhispertome.com. If you have ideas for this show, my other show, which I have a show called Mystic Stew, it's just kind of a blog podcast, real short. You can find it anywhere. So write to me at david@thewhispertome.com or go to my website, thewhispertome.com. You can find me on pretty much all social media, including TikTok, where I do a lot of stuff, by just typing at Medium David Hanzel.
And just so you know, David does not contact people for ratings or anything like that, nor do I. So if you receive that, that is not us. Yeah. And if you ever want to get a hold of me to book a reading, guest show idea, whatever, you may see us on Howie's show. We're going to hold you to that, Howie. On the Orion Effect. I'm joking because I know how you'll get a hold of us. You can get a hold of me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. I have 2 groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and then the Angel Rock, a tribe for some of the spiritual things we talked about tonight. You can also see me here on this network on Monday nights here, including this Monday coming, on the Angel Rock, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm trying to think who I have as a guest. Oh, actually, somebody with the paranormal that reached out to me that does a little podcast of their own. So it's going to be a paranormal show. And I want to send you all so much love and light. And thank you. Before we sign off, I do want to say to you, stay tuned for the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. They have an amazing show coming up next.
Yeah, and
so
you guys,
we said we did it last week. We almost did it together. We were going to give away a reading. We ran out of time. So you guys hold us to that next week to remind us. But we said if we
remind us next week, we'll try it next week.
Okay, you ready?
You want to try it? 1,
yes.
2, 3. What's at the foot of your bed?
Almost.
Hey, you guys, look to the sky and enjoy your journey. All right.
Okay, guys, have a good one. Much love and light. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.